Hello everyone and welcome to this yoga practice for hamstrings. My name is Gillie and you're joining me on my rooftop in Hong Kong in the beautiful sunshine. Some of you said you preferred it up here. Thank you, Duncan, for that. So we're outside practicing in the fresh air today. Yoga for hamstrings. Hamstrings are the three muscles on the back of our thighs. The biceps femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus. They're mainly used for acceleration in activities such as running. So that forward moving motion in running is powered by your hamstrings. You may already know if you're into running that your hamstrings get very tight. If they're very sore today or they feel sensitive, please give them a rest. No need to re-stretch and re-tear the hamstrings. The nature of the muscle means it can be quite sensitive. If you're feeling good, we're going to work on strengthening. So knee flexion, bending of the knee, and hip extension, moving the leg back as in back bending. That's why sometimes your lower back can get painful if you have tight hamstrings due to that tightness and action of pulling down the lower back. Then we move on to our flexibility. What is the number one yoga pose for hamstrings? Hanumanasana, the split pose. So we'll be working on flexibility towards that. Grab your mat, a couple of blocks if you have them, no major worries if you don't, and we'll get started. Down on our mats today in table pose, Marjarasana. So wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. You can tuck the toes or release the toes. We'll move with the breath, some cat-cows. Inhaling, lengthen the front of the body. And exhale, round the spine. Inhaling to lift the chest and tailbone. And exhaling to round the spine. Breathing in and breathing out. Two more times. Inhale and exhale. Inhaling and exhaling. Finding a neutral spine, lengthening the right leg back. This time as we inhale, we lift the leg and the chest. And as we exhale, knee towards the nose. Inhaling to lengthen. And exhaling to squeeze. You might like to stay with this, just the leg action, otherwise you can involve the opposite arm as well. So left hand, right leg, and exhale to squeeze. Breathing in and breathing out. Curl everything into a tiny ball. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling, hold on to it, squeeze it in, and rest it down. Same thing on the other side. So just the leg and exhale. Inhaling, lift that leg higher than the hip if you can, and exhale. Option to add the arm if you'd like. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Last breath. Both hands down on the mat. Step your hands one step forward, tuck the toes under. Let's push it back into downward facing dog. Give the legs a nice pedal. This is where we start to stretch in the back of the legs. And then we'll look forward, take a step or a hop to the top of the mat. Hold on to opposite elbows, let your head dangle, stretch the back of the legs. If you're really tight here, you can always grab hold of a couple of blocks. Or another great tip is to bring the chest down towards the thighs, keep it glued there, and then start to press the legs back so there's no space. You might need to bend the legs a lot, that's fine. You're working on lengthening the muscles in the back of the legs, those hamstrings. Let's breathe in, we'll reach the hands all the way to the sky. And exhale, palms to the chest. Good, mountain pose, standing nice and tall. Lovely breeze. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, Uttanasana. Halfway lift, inhale. And then step your right leg back, exhale. Breathing in, reach your hands up to the sky. And then bring your hands down, send the hips back, stretching the back of the left leg. Exhale, 2 breaths, half split or Ardha Hanumanasana. Draw that left hip crease back and drag your heel toward you. It's not moving, but you're lengthening the back of the left leg. Send the hips forward again. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, hands down. Let's step it back for downward dog. Breathing into plank pose and breathing out, knees and chest down to the ground. Find cobra pose. Inhale and downward facing dog. Exhale. Step your right foot forward, back knee down, arms to the sky, inhaling. And then exhaling, fingertips, send the hips back. Let's come in for our half split again. 2 nice deep breaths. Plug that right heel down and draw the right hip crease back to lengthen the back of the leg. You should already be feeling a nice stretch in the hamstrings. Good. Walk the fingers forward, drop the hips. Inhale, lift the arms. And exhale, bring the hands down. Let's step it forward for our forward fold again. Halfway lift, breathing in. And exhale to fold. All the way up to standing. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, palms to the chest. Let's go for the other side. Inhale. And exhale. Look forward, inhale this time. Left leg goes back. Drop the knee, lift the arms. Breathing in. Hands come down, let's send the hips back, stretch the back of the right leg. And then we'll walk it forward again, breathing in, arms up. Downward dog on the exhale. A plank pose, breathing in. You can go for your chaturanga or knees, chest down to the ground again. Shoulders back, lift the chest, cobra, or maybe your upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Yeah, left leg steps forward. Breathing in, hands go up. Fingertips down, let's stretch the back of the left leg. Inhaling, send it forward, lift the arms, look up. And then stepping forward again into Uttanasana. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. All the way up to standing, breathing in. Palms to the chest. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit warmer now, and we'll move into that strengthening section of our practice. So starting again in mountain pose, top of the mat, take a breath in, arms overhead. Exhale, bowing forward. Inhaling, lengthen the chest, and exhaling, step it back or hop to plank pose. Take a breath in here, let's scoop the lower tummy in, and as you exhale, chaturanga or knees and chest down to the ground. We're getting comfy on our tummies. We'll bring the hands underneath the shoulders and roll them back to create space. Just a slight lift in the chest will start to lift the right leg off the floor, keeping it nice and straight and long. Feeling that work now in the back of the hamstrings to extend the hip joint. Lower it down. Lift the left side and lower. So it's kind of like a swimming action. We're lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Now this may be good just enough on its own. Can even rest on the elbows if that feels good, but if you want a little more work, we'll extend the arms forward. And as we lift one leg, we lift the opposite arm. So right leg, left arm, left leg, right arm. So swimming Shalabhasana or locust pose, working on those hamstrings and a little bit of lower back strengthening as well. Remember, the arms are just an option. You can keep going if you'd like to, just one leg and the other leg. Keeping the legs nice and straight, you can point the toes. Keeping the pelvis and the tummy firm on the ground. I'm totally getting a nice break in the shade here. Yes, as most of you who know me, I'm not much of a sunbather. So keeping with this alternate, you might have the arms in as well. We'll take a rest, rest the head on the hands. Give the hips a little bit of a release. Good. Next option, hands under the shoulders again. We'll squeeze and lift both legs up and lower them down. Both together and lowering down. It doesn't have to be a huge movement. Again, you can bring both arms into it, lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. You can keep the hands firm if you'd like to, lift and lower, lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Rest again. Give the hips a wiggle. You're rolling over now. Next posture will be on our backs. So we'll just roll right over and lie down. Arms can come down by your sides. Walk your feet nice and close. Let's lift the hips up into Setu Bandhasana bridge pose. You can wiggle the shoulders slightly under. Make sure the feet are parallel, knees are parallel. Thighs are slightly engaged, so we're squeezing together, but they're not touching. So hip distance with the thighs and the knees. Take a big breath in. Lift the hips and the chest towards the chin. And exhale, lower it down. Connect with the breath now. Inhaling to lift and exhaling to lower. Inhaling to lift and exhaling to lower. And keep going with that. As always with me, there's an option to make it more difficult. So if you'd like to add something extra, as you inhale, arms come overhead. And as you exhale, bring them back down again. Let's take 5 more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in and breathing out with control. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Knees can rock from side to side. Good. Repetitions of the same could be good. Otherwise, we're going to add another level to deepen this even more. So we lift up the hips. We take all the weight into the left foot and take the right leg up to the sky. Same thing again. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to almost lower the sacrum to the floor. Breathing in. Breathing out. If this is too much, just come back to both feet on the floor. Otherwise, we'll lift and lower. Lifting and lowering. Lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Last one, lift and lower. Let's change side, both feet on the floor. Lift up the hips, you can realign the shoulders, lift the chest, weight in the right foot, left leg goes up. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit bent. Inhaling and dropping, exhale. Squeezing the back of those hamstring muscles to lift and using them to control that lower down. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling. Good. Few more repetitions. Starting to build some strength and some heat. Good. Last 2. And lower. Last 1. And hug it down. Feet can come to the floor, knees can roll, or you can hug the knees into the chest, make some circles, whatever feels nice here. Last thing we're going to do for strengthening is standing up. You can roll to your side, you can get up that way, or you can work for a little momentum. We'll take the feet back, we'll cross the legs, see if we can get up without use of the hands. Ooh, practice that one again if you like. They say it's the secret to staying young. Possibly a couple of blocks or a chair or a table you can lean on for this pose. We're going to work on our warrior 3 pose. So left foot in the center of the mat, fingertips on blocks. You can of course do this without blocks or a chair. We'll extend the leg. Now we're rolling the outer right hip down towards the floor. We're trying to bring that back leg in line with the hip. We bend the knee and straighten it. Bending and straightening. Bending and straightening. So on that action of bending the knee, we're engaging the hamstrings. A few more repetitions. Good. And then keeping it nice and straight. Just like we did in the other postures, there's the option to deepen here, but extending the opposite arm forward, or even reaching back behind for the foot or the ankle, and giving yourself a little bit of a challenge to stretch here as well. Good. When you finish, we slowly and gently release, and we fold into Uttanasana. Head heavy, hold the opposite elbows, give everything a dangle. Fingertips to the block, inhaling halfway lift, and exhaling, extend the opposite leg back. Let's see if we can square off the hips. So if you look down and you see that left hip's really opening towards the side, roll it down. So the top of the left thigh is pointing towards the floor. Bend the knee and straighten. Bend the knee and straighten. A few repetitions here so we can engage the hamstrings, because we're about to move on to that juicy stretching. Last bend. Straighten it out. There's your option to extend opposite arm and leg, or going for your option to hold the foot, extend, kick and lift. It's just an option. If you fall over like my block, just come back and try again. Let's see if we can go for that controlled exit and then folding into Uttanasana, head heavy, and dangle a little bit side to side. Rolling all the way up to standing, breathing in, palms to the chest, exhale. You ready for a stretch? Let's go for it. So the first posture we're going to practice in our stretch sequence is Uttanasana, forward facing fold. So standing with the feet hip distance, like mountain pose. We can use a couple of blocks, bring the hands to the blocks, extend the chest, and we fold over the legs. Now, if you find yourself with a really rounded spine trying to touch your toes, you're only working your back. You're not getting any stretch in the hamstrings. So like we did earlier, you can bring the chest to the thighs as much as you need to bend the knees, and then work on straightening the legs. If the chest comes away, you just stay there and keep lifting that tailbone high. Blocks can be good if you want to keep the legs straight, keep the chest open. Of course, another great option is interlacing the hands behind the back. That helps us keep the chest open and the spine long. The other option would be to use a wall, both hands on the wall, walk the feet back and open the chest. It's sort of like a downward facing dog, but at the wall. So picking one of those options, whichever one works best for you, let's practice it for a few breaths now. Now, if you watched my video on quadriceps, front of the thighs, we know we have to be active in this pose. Pressing the quadriceps back helps to extend and lengthen the hamstrings. So a few nice deep breaths here. Remember, tummy comes to the thighs before the chest. No rounding of the back. Think of your cow spine, not your cat spine. Nice deep inhales and exhales. Try to take work out of the back and keep it in the hamstrings. Of course, if you're very open, you can use your hands to help deepen the stretch, but remember to keep it in the legs, not the back. 2 more deep breaths. We'll take a halfway lift. And bend the knees, and we'll come all the way up to standing again. Palms to the chest. Let's bend it now for our half split. So coming onto hands and knees. Knees stay underneath the hip. Let's take the left foot forward just like we did before. You may not need blocks for this one, but it might be a nice support. We keep this leg nice and straight. The foot is flexed and the inner foot is pressing forward. So you're peeling the outer foot back. Drag your heel towards you, lift the chest. Just like our standing fold, we want the chest to be open. We're hinging and folding from the hip, not rounding the spine. So better to stay up here on blocks and get that nice deep stretch and enjoy it. A few more deep breaths here. Lengthen the back of the leg, press the quadriceps down, pulling that left hip crease back so we can deepen that stretch. Now, a great option would be to hang out here, especially if you have really tight hamstrings. But of course, if we want to go for our Hanumanasana, we can practice it now. Just by starting to extend and lengthen. Now, blocks are really helpful here. You can sit up on blocks. Let's keep squaring the hips forward. I find it quite helpful to keep the back toes tucked under so we can get a nice amount of lift. And if you feel like you can go deeper, of course, you start to reduce the amount of blocks. Or you can get rid of the blocks completely. Yeah, now this is my more flexible side. For most right-handed people, the left side seems to be more flexible. So don't be saying, oh, she makes it look so easy, because you'll see how easy it isn't when we get to the other side. So dropping the hips, lifting the chest. Of course, if you'd like to go for the full expression, arms overhead, yeah, whatever you feel. Let's just take a couple more breaths to help get deeper into this pose. Good. And then we'll release. We can slide that heel back towards us. Yeah. And coming back into table, hands and knees, hands on blocks. Give your hips a little bit of a wiggle. Now we go to the right side. Ugh. So moving into our half split first. Bring the heel down, any height of blocks to keep the chest open. Pull that right hip crease back so you can lengthen the back of the leg. Take a breath in. On your exhale, we'll fold. So I know I'm especially extra tight on this side, so a lot of sensitivity, a lot of patience, no forcing. Strong in that quadricep to press down. And then just to prove it doesn't always have to be the full expression, we'll move into that half, all the way into Hanumanasana, sending that hip forward, using as many blocks as you like. I think I'll go for 2 on this side. Yeah, back toes tucked under or lifted. You can take weight out of the hands, in the hands, arms overhead. Yeah, see how it feels. Yeah, if there's a little more space, maybe we can start to go a little bit lower. No, I think that's my limit on this side. So with patience and breath, perhaps staying just a little bit longer on this side to give this chance to catch up. Good. I'm almost scissoring my legs towards me. So drawing the right heel towards me and the left knee towards me. So we're sort of twisting. A lot of patience. Of course, you could still be in that half split now. So keep that chest nice and open. Find that fold from the hip crease. How long shall we stay on this side? It's getting quite intense now. So when you're ready, use your hands, use your block, drag your heel towards you, bring it back into that table pose. Ooh, give those hips a nice release. Let's sit down now for our last forward fold. Both legs straight out in front for Dandasana, staff pose, and we'll take our final fold, Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. So removing the flesh, lengthening the sits bones back as long as you can and flexing the feet, inner edges of the feet pressing forward again. We can work on that extension by inhaling, lengthening the arms up. And as we exhale, we start to roll the tummy towards the thighs. If it doesn't get there, that's where we stop, working the quadriceps nice and strongly to lengthen the back of the legs. If we can get a bit deeper, we'll keep laying the tummy. Same thing as the standing. If we end up rounding so we can reach the toes, we're losing sensation in the back of the legs. You can try it and test it. As soon as you start rounding, you won't get that stretch anymore. So draw it back, sit up nice and tall. If it's very hard for this one, you can sit up on a block to help lift the pelvis a little bit. Might help you sit up a little bit taller. Equally, if you're very open already and you want to get a deeper stretch in the hamstrings, you can take a block on the front of your feet and lengthen even more. So just see what is appropriate for you. Let's take about 5 more breaths. Let the work be in your legs, not your back. And eventually lifting all the way up and releasing. Shall we have a quick Shavasana before the end? I'm going to turn this way so I get my head nice in the shade. So lying back. Yeah, I'm pretty tired today. I already taught 3 classes this morning, so I'm ready for Shavasana. But if there's a twist or you'd like to work on Supta Baddha Konasana for a couple of breaths, you can work through that now and join me in Shavasana. I'll stay for about 10 or 20 breaths. And if you'd like to hit pause and stay a little bit longer, that's fine too. So otherwise, totally relaxing the body. Arms and legs completely melting into the ground. The face and the jaw is soft. So hamstrings can bring up frustration, just like hip stretching. But observe the practice. No judgment, no need to be any more open than you are right now. The body will respond when it's ready. If you want to be more open in this kind of practice, just do it some more. If you've moved through all your stretches now, just coming into Shavasana and lightening the breath. Slowly start to deepen the breath. Feel the weight of the body on the ground, and with deeper breaths bring energy to fingers, toes, the face, the head. Just taking your time. You might wish to stretch the arms overhead or hug the knees to the chest. You might wish to roll to the side and take your time to come up to a seated position. There's no rush to get there whatsoever. When you do find that seated position, just sitting nice and tall. Softening the arms, the shoulders, the lower body. Letting the spine be tall, but everything else melting around it. Let's take a nice deep breath in. And a long exhale. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you enjoyed the practice. Please let me know what you think, and please keep sending those requests. I'm writing them all down, and hopefully I'll get round to them all very soon. I'm hoping to post one new video every week, so it won't be long before I get to all of those. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.